don't listen to people who give you bad advice. Don't listen to people who tell you that you can't do it. If you have inherently inside of you that feeling of, I can do this, I'm going to do this, don't even tell people. Just do it anyway.
If only they knew. The hub for young business minds.
Welcome back to another episode of the If Only They Knew podcast. Today, I'm joined by entrepreneur and the Apprentice 2016 candidate, Jess Cunningham. So firstly, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. You've been doing a lot on mindset and a lot of things that I'm looking into. So it'd be really good to tap into that.
Amazing.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, thank you for coming on. Like we said, just before you logged on, you've been very busy this morning already. Woke up at 5, did you say?
Yeah, I had a coffee, done my exercise, meditated. I'm one of those. But you know what? I think it's absolutely fantastic what you're doing. And I remember when did we spoke? It was last year, wasn't it? The first time.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I just think it's great. I think it's absolutely fantastic what you're doing.
Thank you so much. That honestly means a lot. You know, I don't get a lot of feedback, but when I do, it's always good. So it must mean I'm doing something right. Yeah,
you are.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. But if you don't mind, let's talk about you. I always say, like, just to understand where someone is now, it's always good to get a little snapshot of what they was like when they was younger, when they was a kid. Were they smart? Were they naughty? So if you don't mind giving us a snapshot of what you was like.
Do you know what? So I absolutely hated school. And I mean, I hated it. I'm dyslexic. I didn't understand anything that the teachers were teaching me. I just wasn't interested at all. Like, they'd be trying to teach us something in class. I'd easily get distracted. It wouldn't go into my brain. I didn't really enjoy learning. But I used to really believe that I was stupid and I was thick because I didn't grasp the same stuff that everyone in the class was grasping. I got 6 C's, a D, E, F, and a U when I left school. And then as soon as I left school, that's when I really started becoming interested in learning. But it was because I was learning stuff that made me feel alive. Like, for me, psychology, how our brain works, how business works, that makes my blood tingle. That's the stuff I geek out on. History, the pie chart, not so much. And I think there's a lot of people who will be in that situation where they will feel probably a bit thick, a bit stupid, like they're not good enough. When actually, it's probably because they're learning stuff which they're not interested in.
Well, yeah.
And yes, I was naughty as well.
Yeah, no, so was I. And like you said, like I did get through the lessons when I was younger, but you know, when you can just tell that isn't your passion. I didn't know what my passion was, but like you said, it just wasn't ticking with me. Something just wasn't clicking until, like I found business. And how old was you when you sort of found that passion for business? Was you quite late, like you said, after school, or was it a bit younger?
No, so it was, how old was I? So my first ever business, I was 16, and I used to I remember there was a nightclub in Burnley called Lava and Ignite, and Burnley's a little town where I grew up. And at that time, the doorman would let you in at like 14, 15 if you looked 18. I did look 18. So I remember going to this nightclub and thinking, I'm going to sell key-rings here. I'm going to sell key-rings. So I found out who the manager of the nightclub was. It was part of a chain at that time. And I had my first business meeting, and I remember I printed off a proposal, bought myself a leather, do you know one of those leather folders with like the plastic in?
Yeah.
Put the presentation in this plastic, 16 years old, met this guy in this like conference room, and I pitched to him to sell key rings. And I was like, so I'm just thinking, like, I sold these kids. I was so nervous, and obviously he could tell. But he gave me a chance. So I bought myself a printer, set myself up in this nightclub, got 2 girls working for me, and they were on commission only. And they'd go around the nightclub, take pictures of people, bring the SD cards back to me. I'd print them off, and people would come and collect the key rings.
Wow.
But I must have been making about 500 quid like a week back then, and that was when I was 16. But I've always done things for myself. My dad is a proper wheeler dealer. He's a real grafter. And I definitely learned a lot of stuff, the entrepreneurial flair, should I say, from my dad. But yeah, it's I used to do everything. I used to go to car boots with him and just learn how to sell. And that's the stuff I love. I love engaging with people, connecting with people. I love making money. But again, like you, I didn't find my passion up until, well, probably only a year ago. But I just let myself go where I enjoyed to go. And I think a lot of people, they stick at something that they're really miserable in because they don't want to quit. Whereas I had the different logic. Mine was like, I'm miserable in this. It's draining my energy. What's going to make me feel alive? So I tend to work on a project by project business sort of way, if you will. And it's only really in the last year since doing the coaching do I feel like I've really gone into something which I'm just going to stick at. Whereas before that, I definitely do like project by project and be passion led.
So what was the Apprentice for you then? Was that sort of almost like a tester to see if you really, one, love business and two, tested it, or was it something else for you?
With the Apprentice, I genuinely believed I was going to win it. I was like, I'm going to win, and I visualized it, everything. But no, the Apprentice for me, I think a lot of it, I think because of past scars from being at school, feeling not good enough and feeling like people thought it was stupid, people thought it was X, Y, and Z. I felt like I had to prove myself. And that's, I think, was the big motivation to go onto the Apprentice, because I wanted people to take me serious. And bearing in mind, when I went into the Apprentice, I'd had a business that turned over £250,000 in the first year. So from a business point of view, from the outside, I already was credible, but I had these real inner demons that I had to sort of release. But that was such a fun experience. And it was, it's a crazy experience, but it's not real business. So when you go onto the Apprentice, because I'd had real businesses and because I understand how businesses work, going onto the Apprentice was very much a format of a television show.
Yeah, of course.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. So you're more tested on like your TV sass rather than your business acumen, I guess.
Yeah. So if you can imagine, when you watch the show back, it looks like you're watching a bunch of numpties. Yeah. But what you're actually watching is a group of people, all relatively successful, all very credible, but they're showing the mistakes that they make. So it looks like it's a comedy of errors on a show, when really each task has gone okay, but they're showing the errors because that's the format of the show, and they want good TV, but at the end of it, they need credible people because Lord Sugar's investing in them.
Did you have because you've got a really strong sort of network of high profile, really well connected people? Did you have that before the show, or was that a benefit of sort of being on the show?
Yeah, so I had it a little bit before, because with my previous business, Famous Frogs, we used to use celebrities and influencers anyway. So I'd started to get that network. And we were going to do a clothing range with Vicky Patterson with that brand. So we did a launch. We did a couple of celebrity launches, actually, and people would come down. And then when I went onto the Apprentice, because I've always done PR and marketing and sales, I know how to run events. So when I went onto the Apprentice, you're then back home for 3 months till it airs. And I'm thinking, shit, I need to look really good here. This is going to air soon. I need people to think, wow, this girl has got it. So within that 3 months, I organised another huge launch for my new business, Prodigal Thoughts, which was a fashion brand. And the way PR works and the way celebrity works, if you've got celebrities that are up and coming, they want to attend PR events. And I knew this. So I pretended that I had some really big names coming to this event, my launch event. And then what happened, I started getting real names wanting to come. And then because they had real names, they had more real names wanting to come.
Nice.
So by the time it was brilliant. So by the time we went to our launch, we had about 25 celebrities all turn up at the launch. We got loads of free press. And then when the Apprentice launched, it was even better. It was like successful. I was like, yeah, I pulled this one off.
How, because I know it sounds cheeky, but I guess like many other people, it's something I've sort of thought of, like, especially with social media, it's quite easy to almost like fake it until you make it, in a sense. Like you said, you can sort of say you have one thing when perhaps you haven't quite got it yet, if you put it that way.
Yeah.
And it's something I've thought of doing, but I don't know, is that something that you would advise to a certain level?
So there's a difference between lying, and then there's a difference between lying and being completely fake or bending the truth. And for me, I would say I had it anyway, but I probably wasn't pushing myself to where I knew I could be, and that gave me the motivation to push it. Whereas depending what you're going to go into, with social media now, this is the crazy thing. People want authenticity. So they want you to be authentic, but they don't want to follow you unless you've got X, Y, and Z. So it's kind of finding that nice balance. And if it's more, you want to fix the material side of stuff, you don't need to, okay? Just because you can go outside, you can do your video content outside. And the thing is, if you are on about the materials, I don't know if you are or not, but when you fake the material stuff, people know you're faking it
Hmm.
because they can see through it. So one thing I would suggest, if you want to appear successful, you've already got the traits to do it because you're thinking like that. So create video content outside. Create video content in like a corner of a room where people can't get the background. So all they're getting from you is your knowledge and what you can actually do.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing that you can invest in, because when people spend money with you, and if you can't fulfill what you said you're going to do, they'll see through it anyway, and it's going to end up looking bad. Whereas if people believe in what you're saying, they'll spend money with you, and the material stuff will come naturally, and it will look natural, and it will look authentic. And the key thing with growing your social media, people want to be taken on a journey. They want to relate and connect to you, and that's definitely what comes out of your mouth, not what's behind you.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that's the advice. I don't know if you remember, you gave to me. I reached out to you. Do you remember? And you
Yeah,
said, like,
I remember.
the page.
Yeah.
You said the page looks decent, but it just needs like a bit more cleaning up, and it needs a bit more just of like real life, like you said. Like if I have got a car, show it off and sort of show that that's the way I got it through business. And you said just sort of be the mirror, almost like show people.
Yeah. Because we've got to appreciate, you are your ideal client. So people will relate to you, and your page is brilliant now. It's clean, it's slick, it's, when you told me how old you were, I couldn't believe it. I was like, you're going to be absolutely flying, trust me. But yeah, it's people will relate to you, and that's what you want. When you want money to exchange and you want to do a business deal, people have to understand how they're going to get from A to B. If you tell your story, I'm at A, this is how I got to B, people will be like, oh, if he's done it, he can show me how to do it. And that's when they'll spend with you.
Well, how about yourself then? Because you seem to have built your personal brand in the right way. Like you're giving real value and advice. Like I've been following you since you was on The Apprentice.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. And I've just sort of seen that you've really found, like you said, you found your area of interest, your passion, and you're providing value in that. So would you say that's a big part of the personal brand?
Yeah, 100%. So if you're building a personal brand, and if it's to do with business, as yours is, people want to relate to you. If you want people to spend money with you as an individual, they have to know that you are good at what you do. Now, I used to believe years ago, the more value you gave, the more they'd just take it and they won't go with you. Or the more they'd be like, well, I used to think, well, if I'm teaching them how to do all this, why would they spend money with me? But what you find is, there's always going to be people who will take your content and implement it themselves anyway. But where there's those people on the other end of the spectrum, there are going to be people who are like, oh my God, this girl or this lad knows what they're talking about. I have to work with them. I know they can take me to the next step. And that's it. And also, the more value you give someone and the more you help them and the more you serve them, the more you help someone to get to where they want to be, the more people will come to you to get them where they want to be. And it is that simple.
Yeah. Well, like with business, I think you may agree with this. Like there seems to be two sides of it, especially more nowadays. Like there's the business side, getting numbers, getting revenue, getting profit. But then like the things you work on, there's also like the mindset side, making sure that the owner of the business is actually okay, not just the business itself. How important do you think is mindset in today's sort of business world?
I would say mindset's more important than anything, because if you've got the mindset, then you found the strategy that works. Whereas you can have the £1 million strategy, but if you haven't got the mind, the energy to implement it, or the belief system to believe, oh, this is going to work, it ain't going to work.
Yeah.
If you have the mindset, and you know this probably for yourself from experience, when everyone else has told you what you're doing is stupid, it's a bad idea, but you have that internal feeling, you've got that gut, you know you can make it work, and you make it work. But that's in your mind. Yeah, because logically looking at it, if everyone's saying, oh, it's not going to work, but you know it is, the only difference between you and them is up here in your mind. So I've just realised we're on a podcast, so me pointing to me, it's not going to work. So yeah, mindset is fundamentally one of the most important things. And again, a lot of people and business coaches, they don't teach that. And what a lot of entrepreneurs do actually at the beginning, which I used to do and I don't do it now, I used to attach my own worth to monetary values. And what I mean by that is, if I'd have a good month, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm flying, I'm so successful. Oh yeah, everyone wants to work with me, love, 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 woo. And then if I had a month where I didn't make as much, oh my God, I'm going to get the 9 to 5. I'm failing. Oh, where's the job? That's the mindset. I'd be like a roller coaster. Whereas now, if I have a bad month, I've not had a bad month. I've just not done what I did in the good month. So I've not picked up the phone. I've not done as many launches. I've not reached as many people. I've not asked for the sale. That's why I've had a monetary month, which is lower than a high money month.
Yeah, well, I think that's a very good point. Like, I do it myself. I attach myself and my whole being to a certain action, whether you, like you said, it's the business or it's the job, or even if it's like my car breaks down, that the car breaking down is almost like me breaking down. Like, I'm so attached with that moment. But if you can sort of separate yourself from those two things or whatever it is, you become so much more powerful, because what can go wrong? Nothing really.
And that's it. And I think also, I definitely believe in the higher powers, God, spirituality. And this is another thing that shifted my feelings, my emotions, my mindset. We are always where we're supposed to be. So if the car breaks down, that's where you're supposed to be there. So what can you do in that moment? And yeah, it's easy to get stressed, because we can do, or it's easy to take a step back and just think, right, how can I solve this? What does this actually mean? And if you have the mentality of like, oh, things always happen for a reason, we're always where we're supposed to be, it gives you that coping mechanism.
Yeah. What do you think, like, obviously you are where you're supposed to be. Does that mean then that sort of your journey is almost mapped out already? Do you believe in sort of destiny, or I'm trying to work that out myself?
Yeah. I believe in destiny, but I believe in free will. So I think we'll always get to where the big things in life, we'll always get to where we need to be. Okay. And we'll always, the path we're on is always the right path for that goal which we're going for. And there's a saying that goes, the universe will always give you what you want unless there's something better. And when I got fired from The Apprentice, like, bearing in mind I thought I was going to win it, I was like, what? You're fired? No! I couldn't believe it. And I was gutted at that moment, absolutely gutted. But actually, getting fired in that final 5 was the best thing for me, because I don't work well with people. Like, I could be in partnership with Lord Sugar. I'd end up being a nervous wreck. I just don't. I do not work well with people. Whereas now I'm thriving. I'm literally working the hours that I want to do. I'm making really decent money. I get to spend time with my kids. There's no pressure apart from my own pressure. Whereas if I would have been his partner, that would have probably been one of the worst things that would have happened to me. But I didn't know that then.
I think that's the thing. Like, a big thing, obviously, that I've found is that you just don't know until it almost happens. Like, you can't say, oh, this will happen, or this will happen for this reason, because you only realize once it's done, and then you can look back and say, oh, okay. Like, you can almost connect the dots. Like, there's a saying, I can't remember it properly, but you can only connect the dots looking backwards or something like that. You can only sort of see it.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But it's so true. Like, it's some of the stuff that has happened, like, throughout my career, life, whatever. The coincidences are just too crazy for it to be fluke. So that's why I believe there is definitely something better. And actually, the more I've leaned to the powers of the universe, as cheesy as that sounds, and the more I've been able to connect spiritually to whatever it is, the more I've been thriving. Honestly, because I believe we're not here by ourselves, and I do believe there is a powerful force behind that is helping and that is driving us. And I do believe a lot of that is to do with having a positive mental attitude, because you feel better and you attract more things. And if you can get in that state, and if you can retrain your brain to think positive more times over negative, you're going to have a better life, you're going to attract better opportunities, and you're going to make more money.
Well, if you would have told me that last year, honestly, I would have been like, oh, this is all like too much. It's all nonsense. It's all sort of all like gobbledygook. And it was only a few months ago I started looking into myself, and I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. Like, it just clicked. But perhaps if I was looking at it, just weren't clicking last year, but for some reason it clicked. And I think it's a message that I want to get across, that like spirituality, and like sort of mental health, well-being, all those things are so important. Like we said, in the business world, like, a lot of people just say, no, if you're in business, you just need to be hard-headed, just sell, don't care about anyone else, just get to where you're going. But I think, like you said, spirituality is a massive part of it. And one thing that you did mention that clicked with me is the money block. If you don't mind talking about that, because that really hit home with me.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm actually doing a money block session on Thursday, so I'll send you the link and you can join in so you can experience it. But what a money block is, again, I used to think, well, what do you mean? How can you block money? Like, it didn't make sense to me. I was like, well, what? So hang on a minute. You get rid of this money block and that money comes to you. Yeah, whatever. So when you say it like that, it does sound like hoogledy-poogledy and a bit of crap. Whereas actually when you look into what a money block is basically limiting beliefs. So limiting beliefs that maybe you're not good enough. Well, if you feel not good enough, you're not going to pick up the phone and ask someone for money for a sale because you're going to think, oh, they're going to say no anyway. Yeah. A money block is when a bill comes in, you feel physically sick for paying it. Yeah. But then you end up getting another bill on top of that because you haven't paid it. Whereas if you just paid it in the first place, it'd be gone, you'd feel better. So a money block literally stops you from doing certain actions to make you more money, to welcome more money into your life, because you're literally blocking it. And I remember the first session that I ever had to do around money, I went from earning a couple of grand a month to, well, way more. And that was because I wasn't scared of picking up the phone. I wasn't scared of asking for money that people owed me. I didn't mind making sales calls, converting, asking for whatever it was. When a bill came in, rather than just be like, I'm gonna detest that. I'm gonna try and not pay that. I'll just pay it.
Yeah.
So mentally, I wasn't stressed about all these people asking me for money, which takes up mental space because it was paid, forgotten, done. Monetary wise, I wasn't worried about what people would think. I think, fuck them, I want my money. So I'd ring them. So it opens up. And also I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they don't charge what they're actually worth, or they don't charge, like they undersell the products and they try and overcompensate. Whereas if you've got a good product and it works, you don't need to overcompensate. You can add loads of value to that product, which will make the sell easier, but you don't need to overcompensate it. And it's just feeling confident in those choices which enable you to make more money and get rid of the block.
Yeah. Well, I think there's like good salespeople probably have already somehow naturally or sort of proactively got rid of that money block, because they're the ones that, you know, like they care about the person, but they don't care about that awkwardness about the conversation.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, it does sort of let you get to that next level.
And also, I think if you do have so I had an awkwardness about money, and it was because my mum and dad would never talk about money.
Yeah.
They'd never talk about it. Like they wouldn't. So it was an awkward subject.
Yeah.
So if you're brought up with money being awkward, then it is going to feel awkward when you're asking for it. And also, just going back to the point before that you said that a lot of people think you have to be ruthless in business. I completely disagree with that. Have a think about, who would you rather do business with? You'd rather do business with somebody who's good at business, who you like, and who can get you up the ladder, and who will help you. Yeah. And when someone helps you, you reciprocate the favour. That's who you want to do business with. If you do business the ruthless, hard man way, you're always going to attract hard work and ruthlessness, which isn't great for your mental health. It isn't great for how you do things. Whereas if you always do things with the right intention, the money will always come and you will feel better.
Yeah.
And I've done both, so I know that from my own experience.
100%. So obviously, without revealing too much, because I know this is sort of your area and you know a lot about it, but what can, especially young people involved in business, what can they do to sort of improve their mindset? Like, do you meditate? Do you do yoga? Do you do breath work? Or
So I do all of that, but again, most people aren't into that. So to say to someone, look, do breath work, do yoga, do meditation, that ain't going to excite people. So some people are like, oh, sounds like, some people will view that as hard work. And to be fair, like, I remember the first time I started meditating, I used to have to listen to a guided meditation, and I could only listen to it for about 3 minutes, then I'd get bored shitless. Whereas now I can literally take myself in to my own meditation and listen, like just be with myself for 45 minutes doing nothing, and it's fine. Whereas if you're not at that state, one thing I would say is, start watching motivational speakers. Start going on YouTube, listening to people that are going to enrich your life. Start looking at people who are doing what you're doing and follow their journey. Listen to people who are going to build you up and who are going to make you feel brilliant, who are going to give you the belief in yourself. Start looking at people who you can relate to, who are successful, because then if you'll start thinking to yourself, well, if they've done it, I can do it. And that's where you want to get to. If you can meditate, meditation's brilliant because it quiets the mind. But I do because I've got 4 kids. Whereas someone who's got no kids, they probably don't need to meditate as much as someone who has got kids. Exercise, definitely exercise is a big game changer. And just doing high impact, high energy stuff will change the way you think and feel. So if you can start off the morning by doing exercise, or by going for a run, or just something, or even jumping jacks, just something to change your energy, you're going to feel different throughout the day. And if you feel different throughout the day, you're going to have a different life if you do that daily.
Yeah, exactly. I think you need to be like in it to win it. If you're constantly listening to podcasts about well-being, or about if your specialist subject, I like marketing. So when I was listening to podcasts about marketing, it just brought me into that world. And before I knew it, I was sort of picking up things that I never knew before, and I was sort of excelling in marketing because I was just in that bubble, you know.
I'll tell you who you like. There's a guy called Russell Brunson, and he's a coach, and he's brilliant. He's created a product called ClickFunnels, but he's really high energy. I think you'd like him. Check him out, Russell Brunson.
No, I will. Definitely.
But that's it. I think if you just do things that never stop learning. When I first came out of The Apprentice and Big Brother, I became lazy because I had a good chunk of money in the bank, and I just thought, I don't need to do this. And that was the worst thing I could ever have done, because I stopped learning, I stopped progressing, I stopped moving forward, I became anxious. And I started chasing this TV stuff. And that was possibly the worst time in my life. Whereas when I thought, what am I doing? Like, that's not me. And I got back into work, and I got back doing like the business stuff. I started feeling alive again. And I started feeling, because when I came out on TV as well, I was waiting for people to book me for jobs. I was waiting for other people to make decisions about my finances. Whereas when you're in business, you make your own decision about your finances. You are the creator of wealth or the creator of poverty. But there's only you that can make that. And if you never ever stop learning, and you learn about stuff that you're actually interested in, you're always going to progress. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be to do with business. It can be to do with your passion, and then you can turn it into a business. If you become knowledgeable about certain subjects, you can make that your business. But always don't do stuff for money. Do stuff because you enjoy doing it, and the money will always come.
Well, that's a very good point again, but it's something I've thought of, because I've applied for The Apprentice twice, and I'm thinking of going a third time. But the thing is, I did think that, but I'm thinking, am I doing it for the wrong reasons? Like, am I doing it to sort of like something to get something that I may not really want deep down? I'm sort of in two minds about it, you know?
Well, I wouldn't change it. So even though when I came out, so I'll give you this advice. I wish that when I came out of The Apprentice and Big Brother, I'd started doing what I'm doing now straight away.
Yeah.
100%. But The Apprentice opened so many doors. The Apprentice opened loads of doors. And The Apprentice was a bloody great opportunity, because it's a great opportunity. I would never recommend not doing it. And if you're going to go for a third time, go for the third time. What they want people who've got character, they want people who've got personality, but also people who are credible. Yeah.
Well, I think, that's right. I think if it, like we said before, if it is supposed to happen, it will happen. And perhaps third time lucky, but yeah, I think it's important for people listening, because I know a lot of young people on my page, they want to sort of aim for them big things as well, and they want to almost emulate people's lives. But I think it's an important point to make, that you shouldn't try and copy someone's life, but it's okay to sort of use someone else as sort of a example, as a blueprint almost.
Well, do you know what? So if you copy someone's life, then you're not being authentic to yourself. But what you can do, if you like the content they're putting out and they like what they're doing, do it, because you'll always find your own way to do it anyway. This is classic marketing. So because I do Facebook ads, if I see an advert that makes me want to buy, I will copy that advert, but I'll just reword it in my own words, because it works. So you wouldn't, there's no point reinventing the wheel. And also, just going back to your point where a lot of your audience, they want to aim high, I would say always aim as high as you possibly can, even if you believe you can't make it, because the higher you aim, the higher you're going to get. And you're going to do the same work anyway. Yeah. What? So if you're going to go on.
No, go on.
No. So if you work 12 hours a day or 5 hours a day, make sure that work, you're aiming for something bigger, because it takes the same time and effort to make a tenner than it does to make $5,000. But I know which I'd rather make.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Like, you've still got to write, you've still got to create the advert, you've still got to create the copy, you've still got to try and sell it. So you might as well do that for a higher amount to make it worth your while and to make you feel great.
Well, what are some of the things you're aiming for then? Because like you said, you sort of, almost in some people's eyes been at the top, and now you're doing very well. You've leveraged that power from the top, and you're making the most of it. But is there something bigger than that, or is it sort of what's the future look like for you?
So my main motivation is I love balance. I love having a balanced life. So I love being able to do what I love, make money, but also spend time with my family and not be constantly at it. But the goal for me within this year, whether or not it will happen, I'm determined to make it happen, but you never know. I want to do the £1 million month. That is the goal. And then from the £1 million month, I want to bring out a book called the £1 million month, How to Be Really Spiritual and Filthy Rich. And I want to help as many people as possible to do that and break down as many limiting beliefs for as many people as they can, because we weren't brought up with money, like flipping heck. And my experiences, a lot of people will have had similar experiences, and they will have thought, well, because of what's happened, I'm not good enough to do this, I can't do this. Whereas I'm living proof that you can, and that's the goal for me. The £1 million month. So this is why now I'm literally geeking out on products. I'm geeking out on Facebook ads. I'm geeking out on as many different things that can make that revenue happen. Because all that is, if you want to make £1 million a month, you just need to find enough people to buy what you are selling. To find enough people to buy what you are selling, you just need to do advertising to do that. That's it.
It's quite weird, like the fact that you sort of have it almost nailed down. You know exactly where you go, and you're just finding the steps to get there and sort of smashing it out. So that's great. You're full of great advice, and if I can, because you're clearly on the right path, you know where you're going. If I can get you to sort of summarize one bit of advice for young people looking to sort of do a similar thing to you, what would it be?
Don't listen to people who give you bad advice. Don't listen to people who tell you that you can't do it. If you have inherently inside of you that feeling of, I can do this, I'm going to do this, don't even tell people. Just do it anyway. That is the best bit. There are going to be times when you do something and you fail miserably, but that's okay, because when you fail, you learn the greatest lessons. Yeah. I remember my first proper business, I'd spent like 10 grand, which I didn't have. 10 grand, just try my best to make it work. And it just didn't work, and it failed, and I was gutted. But that taught me so many lessons. It made me up my game. It made me realize that, right, I can't just go into this winging it. I've got to learn more. Second bit of advice, never stop learning. Yeah. Learn as you go along. Document what you're learning. And because people enjoy the journey, but never give up. Focus on your mindset first and strengthening your belief systems to, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And no matter what idea is put in front of you, you will do it, or you'll at least attempt to do it.
That's amazing. And last hard-hitting question for me, what do you want your legacy to be?
Do you know what? I haven't really thought about that. The legacy doesn't really bother me. I don't have an attachment to leaving a legacy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But my attachment is to having an amazing life now, an amazing life for me and my kids, and just making sure my kids are sorted. That's it. I want to help as many people as possible, but my legacy is my life, just to enjoy my life, because we're here once. And if you have a miserable life, it doesn't matter how much money you make.
Yeah, well, that's again fantastic. I've spent a lot of time with you now, and you've given us a lot of value. So before I do let you go, firstly, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
No, that's all right. The floor is now yours. If there's anything you'd like to say or anything you'd like people to go and do, how can they get involved in your courses, etc.?
Amazing. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do, I'll send you all the details, because every week I'm starting to put on different various workshops. So I do workshops to do with money mindset, to do with self-sabotage, inner confidence, imposter syndrome. So if you have these negative feelings or these beliefs that limit your actions, which are called limiting beliefs, the workshops are bloody brilliant. They can go onto my page, which is at JessicaC_coaching or at The Prodigal Fox, and they'll find all the details there. But to be honest, I think you have got it covered for all of them anyway.
No way. But like I said, yeah, thank you very much for the kind words, for the value, and for coming on. I really appreciate it.
It's been brilliant being on here.
Oh, thank you so much. There's so much that we didn't cover still. So hopefully when you do your £1,000,000 month, we'll have you on again.
Be back on.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Hopefully for this year. If not, you might be waiting.
Yeah. No, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Take care.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
If only they knew, the hub for young business minds.